We're
So,
today.
good to go.
Hi, I apologize for the technical difficulties. Again, it's Voltaire from Asians and Bears, and today we are interviewing, starting from the beginning again.
Yeah, take two.
Take
Uh,
two. After
Way
our
back.
whole kung fu moment with the lip syncing, we are here with the founder of Sharp Left Productions, a co-writer and director of Bear City and Bear City 2, The Proposal, and a movie called Raising Heroes, a prominent member of the New York and New Jersey bear community, the man with big giant hairy balls, Mr. Doug Langway.
Hello. Oh, you just threw that in there. See, that was just a little throw in like that. How you folks doing?
So diving back into it, you said that you had proposed Bear City as a webcast
Yeah, the
or
web series, and then
webisode.
and then TLA thought we should turn it into a movie, so we went and did a reading at his film festival, the Philadelphia Gay and Lesbian Film Festival. It went well, and then we started shooting the movie in 2009. 2009, and released in 2010.
Yeah.
Yeah, at
Now
the
you're all
New
caught
York
up.
Game. Yes, and now we're all caught up. Nice and quick.
It's not going to repeat in the loop as usual.
Yeah. So then, we opened at the New York Gay and Lesbian Film Festival.
All
So
right, fantastic. I'm sorry, Frank. Frank started a loop again.
I'm going to kill him. Frank, don't.
Just so you know, he's talking to my ex-Frank, who's in the background over here with his shirt this time.
He's looking really cute. All right,
Look
move, move on.
at him. Look at him. Say hi to the people.
Hello, people.
Oh, wait a minute. He had his shirt off before. Yes.
He also has big hairy balls. I wouldn't know. Uh, so the New York Post compared Bear City as a bear version of Sex in the City. How do you feel about that?
The New York Post. Well, I'm okay with that. I love Sex and the City. I took a lot of moments for Bear City from Sex and the City.
Oh, it
Uh,
was deliberate then.
yeah, totally. That's why I called it Bear City. It was kind of like it couldn't be too obvious to call it Bears and the City. That would have been too obvious. But I think we took our cues from real life people, but we definitely put it in that sort of structure of the Sex and the City structure. And I've watched that series over and over again, so I love it to death.
Me too, I'm a big
We
fan.
have we have a bunch of homages to Sex and the City in Bear City.
What?
Hmm?
Like what? What homage?
Oh, like the whole scene. There's a whole scene with when they're in the restaurant together, all sitting around talking. That's the entire scene. It's kind of
The Bear Cafe.
the Bear Cafe. I can't remember offhand, but there are kind
Oh,
of
I can't imagine Amanda bringing out some sound. Oh, what was his name? Miranda bringing out some sounding equipment.
oh, but you could see Samantha doing that now, because to me, Roger's always the Samantha of the group. I'd say Miranda's. I don't know who Miranda. Miranda'd be, I guess, that'd be the Fred, And then I think, I think that Charlotte is definitely Brent because he's so like, huh, what? Woman cuddling, when the sounds come out.
Uh, I speaking of homages, I heard that Tyler is you in a way.
Well, they're all the characters are somewhat me or friends that I know. I could name names, but I won't. No, but yes, Tyler. That is definitely the story of myself. 20 years ago and 300 pounds ago, um, when I was just a young chap, and I learned about the bear community, and I decided to go to the dugout, which is now called the Rock Bar. But it's so funny how most people still call it the dugout because they.
Yeah, I still call
Uh,
it. I can't bring about calling it rock bar. It was the dugout to me.
Yeah, and when I shot it, I wanted to call it the dugout, but the guys who owned it wanted to call it the Ramrod. So in the movie, it's called the Ramrod, and it was literally only the Ramrod for like 4 weeks. It was only open for a month as the Ramrod, or maybe 2 months. But they were nice enough to give me the space, and I was very excited and happy to shoot there. It was a big part of my life, and that was me. Except I was on a cell phone. I was in a 1979 Trans Am because a little white trash kid from Jersey driving around in circles around the bar.
I totally can relate to that. When I mean, it's almost a different experience for an Asian man being included into the bear community. It's like when I grow up, it was very Like, my idea was that you're supposed to be twinkie, you're supposed to be like
Hmm.
young forever and submissive, and I never really fit those molds. And I was remember walking down Christopher Street and see a big hairy man just spilling out from the dugout, dancing. I don't know, they weren't like
Really?
that for a long time, but I remember that. And I remember the first time that I got the courage to enter, all I did was go from one end of the room just sniffing everybody and then coming back and sniffing everybody back. I was totally out of days.
Wow, you got guts. I kind of just stood in the corner until somebody talked to me. But it was a wonderful experience, because you go to those other bars and there's all these people that are just not what you're attracted to, and I didn't know any of that existed until I found out about the Bears, and I'm like, wow, here's some big, masculine, hairy men. That's where I
Right.
need to be. So it was an exciting experience, and I get that a lot from people all around the world that buy the movie digitally and find the movie, and they always have very positive things to say about that.
I saw it in 2010, and ironically, that was my first Bear Week in P-Town, and I saw it in P-Town, and there where it was like playing out. I felt so like what's her name, strumming my pain with her fingers. Uh,
I don't remember. I have
you
no
know what I'm talking
idea.
about? It's like, oh my God, this is my life.
This is my life. Well, that was part two or part one? Because part two was actually
Part
Sunday.
one.
Oh yeah, that was fun too. That was a good time when I went up
I
there. So,
know. It really captured the New York life and experience pretty well.
thank you.
And yeah, so it was it was a moment for me, like watching it and then being in P Town and being in my first Bear Week. It's ironic that I'm doing this interview with you now. I've always like meant to talk to you about it somehow, but I never got to. I know you're busy with your life.
I'm trying to write the third one now. It's, in that process.
Um, speaking about writing, your production company is Sharp Left Production.
Yeah, Sharp Low
Whenever
Studio.
in a movie, there's that subway that takes that turn.
Yeah,
How
yeah.
did the name come about?
Sharp Low Studios. It was started as a marketing company to house sort of all the marketing that we were doing for the films, and then we just kind of started producing here as well. So we started in marketing and then we went into production.
Is there any particular reason why it's called Sharp Left?
Just we were like inventing a new direction, taking a sharp left turn. That was kind of our idea. Taking a
Oh,
new
that makes
direction.
sense.
New direction.
Right.
You know.
And I see that, and this is something I learned from Frank, that the producer of it is Henry White, which is your ex.
Yeah, right. Well, he's still currently my business partner, but he's my ex of 14 years. But we did Raising Heroes together. It was the first movie we did together, in which he's one of the stars, and then the others he produced. So it's been great, and we're still to this day working side by side. Trying to do a
Oh,
great friendship.
amazing. You must have a very interesting working relationship.
Oh yeah, we're fine. We just turned out to be a really good as friends.
Oh.
Good at business.
How about we're talking going back to Bear City? How about the casting? How much of the cast is out in terms of being gay, and how much is in? How much of the cast isn't?
Well, I mean, anybody that's in the cast that is gay is out.
Hmm.
But the guy who plays Carlos, Michael's partner, is not gay and is not out, obviously, because he's not gay. Uh, but it was okay because he totally got it, and I was a little nervous directing because he was with Michael, the really really big guy, and I was kind of nervous trying to explain to him, from my point of view, what's so wonderful about being with a big man, like getting into them curves and getting that belly and just getting involved so I'm trying to explain to him that in a non-creepy way. And he was I was like, the curves and he's like, Doug, stop. I like big black chicks. We good. You roll this shit. And I'm like, all right, action.
That actually leads to my second question, my next question. It is for the first love scene you see. Like
Yeah.
you watch a gay movie and you make the pretense that you like, before the writing and all that, but you're waiting to just fast forward and do the just fast forward that shit. Anyway,
Not, but okay.
But is it? I mean, the first love scene in Bear City is about Michael and
Right.
Carlos, and it is very deliberate that the emphasis is towards Michael, not what's his name,
Carlos.
Greg Gunter's
Right.
physique more than Carlos is. Was that a deliberate? Um, well, of course, it's deliberate. That's how you edited and wrote the thing. But what was the thought process behind focusing on the bigger guy?
Well, I mean, for me, I mean, like I said, these characters are real life people, so that storyline was somebody I knew. But to focus on that character, well, I like big men, like I like big hairy dudes, and I want that. I wanted to make a love scene where that was so physically beautiful and just so attractive, and not sort of a scorn or keep the lights off type of moment. It was more turn the lights on, let's get crazy. And then obviously it goes into what the storyline needs to go into. But I wanted at least that part of the sex to be really hot and really understanding of what those characters want, and in turn, what I know a lot of people in the world, including myself, like to see.
It was very. It was. Yeah, Frank hates this word, organic, but it was very organic. It comes
Like,
out, like a couple would have.
yeah, it was great. They were really natural together, and even in the second one, those two are really amazing together. And all the characters work really well together as actors, as friends. We really created a family here. So it's
And
been
the scene between Brent and Fred negotiating their openness
yeah.
was one of the most hilarious parts of the movie, and at the same time, really real. Because that's what couples go through. That they obviously, and it's very believable. Oh my God, I can't tell you how much like I was drooling over that whole scene. It was very honest, like especially Brian when he was talking about like I really love you, but you could tell that he wants more. And
Yeah, I mean, those rules are all definitely real rules that came from real friends. That I thought were some were so absurd. I'm like, no kissing. How do you do that? So I've obviously negotiated my own open relationship with Henry, and so it is an interesting experience. I think everybody's gone through that, and it works for some people, it doesn't work for others. But for this couple, the negotiating was half the fun.
right, because I mean, I don't recall seeing that anywhere else. It's very unique to the film at the time too.
At the
That
time.
it's good. Um,
And then what happens to them is even better. But
we'll talk about that later when we get a little bit more cocktails in ours. When our viewers have a little bit more alcohol in them. Uh, the movie also talks about a lot of issues. Actually, one of the lines that Tyler says is, liking bears is like uh,
twice.
coming out the second time.
Yep. That's definitely my line, but it is like coming out of the closet twice. Because like when you have to tell your family or your friends, yeah, I like men, then your sister or your mother's kind of like thinking Brad Pitt, and you're thinking John Goodman, and so it's like coming out of the closet twice, because they're like, well, of course, and then I introduce them to my partner, and they're like, huh, and I'm like, so it's kind of like a whole, it's like two layers of insecurity you got to shed. So it's got to shed that first layer of being gay, and then shed that second layer of liking big, and for me, bigger and older men.
Yeah,
So, you know,
for me as well.
I got a triple whammy.
I think for a lot of them are members of our group,
I
of
think
our.
that it turns out to be great, though, because in the end, you fall in love with someone of that age when you're that age, just at the right time when you really need companionship. But I think it's lucky to be that way.
Yeah, and I think that that's the part of the movie that's really touching people is that it does show the relationships are very believable
Thank,
and relatable,
thank you.
even if you don't like what their preference is. You
Right.
can quit. You can. It doesn't put you off, and I think it's also like the way that you shot certain scenes, like way that the first love scenes are, and then the conflict that arises immediately after. You shot it really, really tight, so that like you have to be completely honest, and by being honest, then they're immediately relatable.
Yeah. Well, and they definitely were feeling it. They each one of these characters when we were casting them were just definitely really really looking forward to getting the role. And so when we casted them, they were definitely very much like Greg Gunter. That's really who he is. So he just loved that character, and he's even funnier than that in person. But as a person, he could definitely relate to that character.
Yeah.
And it was a good experience.
How was it that I know that Gerald McCullough is in CSI and all that? How did he come
Uh,
about the
that
film?
was from my casting director. I had in my vision of Roger in the beginning was kind of more like a person named Roger Ream, who was a big kind of, I guess, photographed bear back in the beginning of beardom, if you will. And he was this muscular, very muscular, but a little bit of a belly, big bear. But then as I started thinking about it, and I knew where 2 was going to go, I kind of thought, well, this character, it's ultimately about how the two people respond to each other, and there's something about the Gerald and the way that he interacted with Josh that was just it just worked perfectly with Tyler. Sorry, Josh. With Tyler. Josh is from the first movie, Bears for Raising Heroes. With Tyler perfectly, and Joe Conti did a great job as Tyler as the me character, and I just thought that those two together really had a magic that I really liked.
They did. They spark and it's something to be said when they're discussing a really romantic love scene inside the toilet of the Eagle. And if you've never been to the New York Eagle toilet, it's a testament to the direction and the actors' work.
Well, the
They
real
can
test.
make that romantic, and there's even like some kind of like Claire de Lune background happening. I'm like, I'm buying it. I'm buying it.
I'm buying. I'm loving it.
T-shirt.
I have to give ultimate props to the sound guy who had to lay on the floor to get the sound right. He had the microphone. He had to lay on the floor to get that sound. And so laying on the floor of the bathroom of that bathroom of the Eagle, yeah.
Was he into it though?
More power to him.
Was he like that's one of his things? Like, all right, I guess I can do it.
Yes, he was down there, shirts off, slurping away. He was,
Ew. Stop. The peanut gallery over here.
a lot of the crew was straight. As a matter of fact, most of the crew was straight, so it was quite interesting. But they're all friends of mine, and we've all become real family working on commercials together and the movies together. So there's nothing that they haven't seen. They were like, "Really? I gotta get on the floor, Doug? Really?" I'm like, "You do."
Oh, but they have no reference though. Oh, yeah. But
Yeah,
even though if you don't have any reference, you can see what's in the floor,
yeah, it's
or
terrific.
you can feel it.
It's clean during the day a little bit. They clean it up.
Is it
I know.
cleaned? I don't see Mark Stewart going there with a pine salt bucket and going around.
Well,
And
the owners are very sweet, so they let me have the place, and they're really great. So I'm not gonna.
it was a great bathroom. I
The,
personally
the
endorsed that
whole,
bathroom multiple times.
well, there's also that great fence thing that made it so that Simon could look over and kind of bust up the love, which was hilarious. It was a great room. I had originally had it at Splash for some weird reason because of the way the doors in the bathroom worked. We were talking about Splash, Larry and I, and then all of a sudden it was just the Eagle came up because my locations guy was friends with the guy that owns the Eagle. He was
Right.
like, he'll give it to you, and I was like, that's perfect.
It's perfect.
Yeah, it's
Although, in
really
all
perfect.
honesty, I've never seen that Eagle bathroom empty.
Oh, there's that.
um,
It's a movie.
um, the movie also talks about a lot of issues. The whole muscle bears versus the regular bears. How do you feel about that whole thing? Because it's at the crux of the movie.
Well, I think that, and even in the second one as well, I think it's something that came up later as the bear community got more and more established. There
Hmm.
became this sort of sectioned off thing. I don't know. For me, I feel like it's an insecurity on both ends that makes that happen. Because if you bounce around from both and you're just a confident person, you're able to get along with both. But it's definitely something that people are putting onto themselves that is unnecessary in a community that was based on not having those issues. A community based on the bigger, hairier human being as the sexual body type, this is not the place for people to start trying to push us back in the other direction.
Right.
So it's not the place for it. So I'm not happy with it, but I think it can go cut both ways. I think the big bears, when they get together, can be really, really as cast-offish as the others, and I think there may be a defense mechanism on both sides. So
I'm
I
with you. This is always a big discussion on like that Facebook group of Bear Week in P-Town about the muscle bears being standoffish and all that. But a lot of it, and I agree, a lot of it we project on them. Like,
yeah.
and I say this all the time that people who are bears, who are now popular for being bears, probably were not considered as beautiful when they were young.
Well, yeah, a lot of times though, I
The
think that,
whole aesthetic is not there. It's not, the internet was not that prevalent at that time, and nor was the bear community. So
yeah.
now they're discovering newfound fame or notoriety, so to speak, and they're finding people who adore them, and some of them don't know how to handle themselves.
Let go to their head. Yeah, I think there should be some of that. I just think there's also people that are awkward generally in life, and then they're awkward in that community, and they're blaming it on the other people. And you're like, well, you're kind of hard to talk to, bro. Like, so I don't know how that was going to change when you got to this community. So there is a little give and take that the people have to do, and you do have to try and let go a little on both ends. But the reason I came up with that in the first place was from Lazy Bear in San Francisco, where it is it was, I don't know, I haven't been to Lazy Bear in a long time, but it was quite prevalent where you'd have muscle bears on one side and all the other bears on the other side, and it was just, that was the way it was. It doesn't really happen in P-Town. I just wrote it that way because I was kind of mixing it all together.
Right.
And then I think it just became that way. I mean, it really didn't become that way. The P-Town still isn't that way. But the other one was, because I think the San Francisco Bears had a longer history of being together and being such a large community that they kind of segregated themselves. It's
Right.
kind of like when you go to a small town, it's a gay bar, and you have lesbians and every other kind, and the more people you get, like you get to New York, and you get it segregated down to foot fetish bear. You know what I mean? And like you still have 100 people show up to that. You know what I mean? So, I think you get segregated once you get too many people around that want to sort of define themselves, and I think that's
And
not.
it's the people you identify with,
Yeah.
Like
And it's,
you don't have to justify yourself. Like I like feet, or like not personally, but I'm saying like as the group.
yeah, exactly. I think that I think it's somewhat of a self-fulfilling prophecy, but it doesn't have to be that way.
Right. There was also the discussion of masculinity versus femininity, where they were talking about the leather guy, like, oh, you don't want to hear him talk.
Yeah.
And it's a whole new thing in our community where like people are owning up to their femininity all of a sudden. Like I see this in New York, where like they don't care. Like I don't know if you know my friend Greg and Ernie. They Greg is this big. He's 6 foot. How tall you'd say Greg is? 6'4"? Something like that. Yeah.
Right.
6'4". He's muscle, hairy, beard, and he said that he's so intimidating, so he paints his toenails. So he's more approachable. And I see this more often now, where the big masculine guys are owning up to their femininity, but there is still that whole, the purse will fall out of the mouth.
Well, I think that's kind of like the concept of the opening of the Bears, as opposed to the Girth the Mirth, which was strictly about being fat and proud. The bear thing brought the masculinity into the mix. So it is always people saying that, hey, part of this whole thing is not being feminine. But I was the one that always said, well, you gotta have both. The thing is that's why I always had a drag queen in every movie that I did. I wanted to keep that because it is harder to wear a dress than it is to wear a suit.
Oh yeah, take some balls to wear a dress. Especially those people in Stonewall. They took the subway in the dress because there's no way to dress in New York. You have to leave your house in drag. That takes balls.
But the thing is that I think that the bear community is just drag queens become all about them. I think the bears are sort of more all about just less outward acting and more just talking like normal people. And I think that that's where some of the bears feel like the femininity becomes false, and that's not what bears want. But femininity and playing a character or drag character is two different things. So you can be very feminine and still have a real conversation, and I think that bears still have to get there.
Yeah.
They see it all as the same thing.
We're a relatively young community as far as communities go. You
Yeah.
know, we have a ways to go, and I think that Bear City was a really good way that it was a good positive step forward.
Thank you.
It was what we're trying to be as a community.
I appreciate that.
Um, One of the things that I find controversial about the movie is the whole losing weight thing, and it's a controversial thing in our community. Weight
Sure.
is a touchy subject to begin with, and you know, be it if you're like one of the circuit queens that have the paternally flat, you know, six pack, or you know, if you like girth and mirth, like you said, like you know, you have to maintain the belly. There is almost a like even the doctor was talking about the lap band surgery. It was a little frivolous and a little ridiculous.
That's the guy who wrote The Night That Larry Kramer Kissed Me, by the way.
What's that?
That's literally the writer of The Night That Larry Kramer Kissed Me. That's who plays that. So I thought it was perfect. But yeah,
but
um,
but in seriousness, though, that it is an issue. And like the movie does say that, and I think I like what the movie was saying is that if you think that you need to be thin to fit in, and that's
mhm.
what I'm taking away from the movie is that, and that shouldn't be the reason. That if you
Right,
want to have the lap band surgery, it's for health.
right, exactly. It was the concept was that, and this was part of the true story of the real person that this happened to, is that they couldn't find a job, and then they decided to get the surgery, and it was that uplifting thought process that now they're going to be thin at some point, that they went in and nailed the interview, even though they hadn't lost a pound, because they just didn't see themselves as a fat person anymore. They saw themselves, which made them their own internal self-esteem fuck their interview up. They instead saw the future of when they're going to be skinny and how excited and how uplifting their life is now, and they went and nailed the interview. Hadn't lost a pound. So so the concept is, if you have low self-esteem, you're going to have it whether you're big or small. You need to get past that first before you
Right.
decide whether it's surgery for you.
Right.
That was
Right.
kind
And I've
of
seen men who have lost the weight, and some people, you know, like thinking that if they just go to the gym and lose the weight and gain the muscle, that they will get the people attracted to them and all that. But I keep telling my group this that attraction is not physical.
mhm.
Certain confidence in how you carry yourself and how you portray yourself as a human being that people respond to.
Yeah, that takes you over the finish line. Definitely. I mean, I definitely think that physicality is a part of it. But I know that friends who did get the surgery for the wrong reasons and dumped the weight as fast as possible ended up having a really saggy experience, and then they'd be going after, people. Now he's a thin person going after another thin person. He gets home, and they turn on the lights, and he takes off his shirt, and they screech and run out because he's all looking like a Shar-Pei. That's not good for your self-esteem either. I mean, that's not good for your self-esteem
Right.
either, man.
Right.
So, that's not good for your self-esteem. So the concept is, for health reasons, of course, nobody wants anybody to die. But at the same time, do that for that reason, and understand that you look really great as a big man to someone. And I think that was more what the whole thing was saying, is that if the person you love likes you big, then that's all the confidence you need, and you have to like yourself.
Right. Right. And you can be big and still be healthy. So
Absolutely.
there's so many choices that are, you know.
It's actually harder. My friend said if you want to be a big guy, you got to work out, because you got to be always working out harder than everybody else to keep your body
Mhm.
lifted up so you don't get tired. And I agree. It's harder, but it's a lot more fun to be able to be a big guy and move around
Right.
and hang from the chandeliers having sex.
Excuse me. Can we
No, no.
rewind that part
Well,
again?
you know, we have to reinforce the chandelier, but
Did you see that Khloe Kardashian? Do you watch Keeping the Kardashians?
no, it's
She
not.
installs a she installs a sling in their bedroom right on top of her bed because that's what they do. Of course, she's on top of it, and her husband's going at it, and she falls.
Falls off of it.
No, the
Amateur.
whole thing falls off of the ceiling.
Oh, she doesn't know how to do it. So I got a friend. Tell her give me a call. I got a guy that knows how to put that in right.
The other crux of the whole story is the angle between Gerard's character, Gerald's character, and Tyler,
Gerald, yeah.
where Roger and Tyler, where it's basically dating. He's a bear and he's a twink, and dating outside of your genre, so to speak.
Yeah.
And
Well,
what is your thought about this?
Well, I think that Roger, it was that same kind of thing that we were talking about with Roger's kind of thinking that he needs to be with this other A-list type of bear, and he's just kind of looking for status rather than looking for love, and so he keeps trying to, in a very insecure way, but he keeps trying to push Tyler away. Tyler's very clear about what he likes. He's a
Mhm.
little skinnier. I mean, Roger's a little skinnier than what he likes, but he's got this attraction. He's got this je ne sais quoi that just works for Tyler. So he's gonna, and then there's a little bit of that insecurity in the fact that I think that Tyler goes after the guy because it's halfway in between what he really likes and what he's supposed to pretend to like, which is a little young Twinkie guy. But what he
Right.
really wants is a big fat fireman at the end of the day, a gray-haired fireman. But he settles sort of for a muscular older Santa daddy, but still daddy. So it's still all at the end of the day a little bit of
In between.
yeah twice. He's like you got to get there, and then he gets there again, and so it takes the series of movies, including the third one, to get to the understanding of what the whole thing is.
Mm.
So,
Oh, excited to see the third one.
uh, so right,
Um,
that's what I'm doing here today.
so yeah, we were talking about too, like it's like the same thing about dating Asians. Like, like if you're a bear, you're supposed to be with a bear, and then like dating Asians. That's the whole thing of our group is trying to find like redefine our boundaries of attraction. So we're as a group, we're like trying to get everybody to compliment everybody and encourage to find beauty in all forms, even those people you don't like. And doing this for 2 years now, I find myself liking a lot more Asian men than I used to. And I think some of the bears have been having the same experience. And hopefully, our little experiment in all of our 3,000 members, not to brag, but like is to spill over the community. Hi.
Not to brag or not. Yeah.
I wanted to ask you, who's the bowling expert in the group that did all of the strikes?
Actually, the guy who gave the bowling lessons to Roger was one of my best friends, Rob Rosenberg. He did, he did the bowling teaching, but actually that bowling was quite hilarious because it was the end of the day, and that's actually my cousin's lanes. Peter owns those lanes, the gutter in Brooklyn, and we were shooting from 4 a.m. when they close because it's kind of a bar bowling alley. 4 a.m. till they close till 4 p.m. when they open, and it was like 2:30, 3 o'clock. My uncle, my cousin's like, "Get the hell out, Doug! You guys got to go. I got customers coming." Right? I'm like, "No problem, Pete. Give me like 10 minutes." So we stick that camera, like, we're basically wherever you see. We're probably like 3/4 down the lane with the camera there, and we're just all throwing the balls, throwing the brown balls, blue balls, hoping to God we're gonna get it. We kept running back and getting more balls and throwing them. If we had videotaped that, it'd have been hilarious. My fat ass was running back and forth with bowling balls like this. Oh my God! And just to get it done, and all it was like so, and you'd have to bowl right next to the lens, so the lens would be here, and you'd be like, whoop, and you're trying to bowl, and it was the worst. It was hilarious. Then people start bowling it at us, and someone have to hold it, so they grab it and they give it to the guy and he throw it. It was crazy. And then one person, and there was this girl who turned around, one of the girls, Kelly, and she goes, "I got the blue ball in the spare." I was like, the things. I'm like, oh my God, the split. We got the split. We were so excited. Yeah, the behind the scenes was hilarious.
Filmmaking at its finest.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
the drinks that they were talking about, they mentioned Bear Claw and Dirty Jocks. Did you just come up with those drinks, or I've never heard those drinks before?
We totally just made that shit up. The Dirty Jock's pretty good though. We've tried them out. They're both pretty good, but yeah, we just made that shit up.
That's awesome. Brent and Fred were talking about they have like love names for each other. I'm not sure what it is. Is it Gobo and Wembley?
Yes. Oh, you're not old enough, are you? Frank, tell him, would you? So Gobo and Wimley from the Fraggles.
From the
I'm
Fraggles.
too old for that.
He's saying he's too old for that.
Oh, maybe. All right. Well, the
There you
Fraggles.
go.
They were the Fraggles. They would do all of it. Bert and Ernie, the Fraggles, Sesame Street, whatever. They're that my age kind of 40s. early 40s
Yep.
type
I
stuff.
learned English from Bert and Ernie.
Yeah, yeah.
He says that explains a lot, bitch.
Totally gay they are.
um, the Steven Guarino is an improv guy. You know, he was in the Big Gay Comedy Sketch Show.
Yeah.
How much improv landed on the screen?
From him, well, right now he's actually in a show right now on Logo. It's like a news story, and it's got a big old billboard in Times Square right now. I was pretty proud of him. But and I hear the show's doing well. But he's definitely the improv king, and which makes it hilarious. I mean, I wish I could say I wrote almost everything he said, but me and Larry didn't.
Like the
We did.
veto one is definitely when they were going veto and he was commenting. I'm suspecting some of that is improv.
You mean when they were in the shower together, the shower scene?
No, they were vetoing. They were on top of the.
Oh, the vetoing? Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. Yeah, he's great. He brings so much to the character. There's definitely a lot. They definitely bring a lot of the additives in between the lines, so you get the improvs, but then they nail the lines, and then they continue with the improv, and it just gives it that realness. It just gives it a great realness.
Yeah, he's very quick.
Yeah, and in
I
the
love it.
shower scene, I don't even know what the hell they were talking
Let's talk about the shower scene.
about.
How did that shower scene come about? Because when we talk about the movie, everybody talks about the fucking shower scene.
Well, unfortunately, I lived that experience myself as well once. I wasn't actually in a shower, but it was in a pool, and it was like, what? And I was the dude in the middle. It was definitely like, when you have, it was not the urination part, but the concept of having, you end up with a couple who's not really ready to be out, and
Right.
and all of a sudden you go home with them, and the one's like, gotta pay more attention to the other one, and I'm like, well, I like you more than like that. Oh my god! So it just becomes a little bit of a mess, and they all start trying to impress each other and flipping off each other over your head, and I'm like, it's a little crazy. So yeah, anything that happens, I generally write down in my head, and then I write it down later. So after that experience, I was kind of like, this has got to be in a movie.
People talk about
Just-
people fantasize about threesomes all the time. It takes a deliberate amount of work. I
I
have to
just,
say,
I think I'd rather do a five-way, something. The three is just, someone's always going to get left out with three
I
unless it's
know.
really well, unless they're all singles, But it generally always ends up with you and a couple, and the couple ain't ready for it, and it just becomes a disaster. And you're just like, all right, this is no fun. Uh, you know. So that's where that came from. And then, I knew what they had to do, but the way they came about it was definitely hilarious. It was just like, even the guy in the middle who plays Uncle Mel, he just, I didn't know he was going to spit in the guy's mouth. That was hilarious. I was like, oh my dude, what are you doing? It was
I
amazing.
know Blake. I know him. So
Yeah, Blake. Oh, the three of them together were hilarious.
I know.
Hilarious.
Brian's Keen's face in that whole scene just slays me. It just slays me. It just slays me. I've never done ecstasy. Go ahead.
They play really well off each other.
Yeah.
Brent and Fred did.
On each other, at each other.
Yes.
I've never done ecstasy, but like I would imagine it would be just walking around inside Brian Keen's beard.
Yeah. It is a beautiful beard. Well, and the urination thing was actually like a little like pie thing, and there was a long tube thing that went to my art director, and the first time she did it, she pushed too hard, and it basically went all over him. And we were like, no, that person would be dead. If that came out of their penis, they'd be dead right now. So we could calm that down a little bit, shall we?
It was very realistic.
Yes.
And we shot it in one frame, really. When they started getting to it and then they stopped referring to each other,
Yeah.
it really was one long frame of them just improving until he fell.
Yes, basically, it was great, wasn't it? And the funny thing is that scene when the curtain comes down, that was not supposed to happen, and all of a sudden we were like, oh my god, that is the funniest thing ever. So we totally left that in. And then him falling over the curtain totally made sense. It was like all of it was just meant to be. It was really
How
a
many takes
great.
did you take?
We did it like 8 times, and it was funny every time. It was really difficult to pick and choose which one. We just couldn't stop doing it. It was so hilarious. And then we had to do the inside takes, and it was really a lot of fun. They definitely had a good time.
Oh, yeah, you can see it translates very well on the screen.
Yeah.
I guess it's that time, Mr. Frank. We're doing a game, and we're starting this with our interview. It's called "What's Happening?" That's the game. So basically,
What's
what
happening?
we'll do is we'll show you a picture,
Okay.
and this is one of the things you come up with a little bit of vodka in you. And then what you'll do is you'll describe what's happening. But the
What?
only rule of this game is Doug, who's playing with us, is not allowed to say, I don't know. So he either has to tell us what's happening or
All
make
right.
something up. You ready?
All right. Ready.
All right. And then, Frank, if you can't see the picture on the iPad, he will send it to you through Facebook. So I don't know if you have your phone or you can.
Facebook. Oh, okay. Wait. I can do my phone.
All
So
right.
Frank can send it to me through you or through him.
All righty. Frank, you ready for the first picture?
Hey, Frank, I got to hold it. Oh, there he goes.
Right.
Frank,
So this picture. Oop,
send me an attachment. Oh, what
what's
is
going on?
happening? Yeah, I got it. Frank's sending it to me. What is happening? Um, I think Tyler is tightening the ball loop on his gag, and it's making him feel good.
How did Alex Didio feel with that whole thing? Who is Asian American, I understand.
Yes, he's half Japanese. Yes.
The top
He.
half or the bottom half?
I'll never tell him. But I love him dearly. He loved that whole scene. Oh, the best part about him is that he's actually a bear hunter. He actually likes big, hairy bears, not little Twinkie girls. He's the opposite of his character. And then the guy who plays Tyler actually likes younger, thinner men, not big bears. So
Oh,
I thought it was interesting in real life that the complete opposites, the two of them. He loved it. He had a great time. He made all that stuff up, and we basically just let them go inside. We knew we had to have the whole scene inside the dressing room, and we just went crazy. And that shirt that he wears at the end, the big yellow dress thing with the fan, okay, that was a shirt that somebody made for me on the set. And Morris made for me on the set. It's like a 3X. Because back then I was 3X. It was 3X, and he put it on me to dress, and it was hilarious.
beautiful. It's
So,
beautiful.
so I gave
All right.
Morris some props in that way.
Second picture. What's happening?
All right, I'm waiting, Frank. Oh. Let's see. Oh, do we really want to say what's happening there? Wait, that's not
Look into
even
my
from
eye.
the movie.
Yes, we want to know what's happening there.
That's not even from the movie, is it?
So,
All that from somewhere else. I think that obviously he's getting a blowjob from underneath the chair there.
woo!
Looks like to me.
Ooh, I'm sweating in certain places.
That doesn't even look like a frame of my film, is it?
No, it is not. I just Googled a couple pictures. I went through your cast and I just Googled, what?
Whose
This is a
couch
low
is that?
budget production. I'm using an IKEA lamp for lighting.
Look,
All
whose
right.
couch is that? All right, I'm waiting, Frank.
All right, third picture. What's
Uh,
happening?
what is happening? He's trying on a new belt.
Oh,
Oh Lord, what is happening with her? She. Oh my Lord. Yes, what is happening? Oh yeah, she's trying on a new belt. That girl, that one is too funny. Like she's just a wonderful, wonderful actor. That was a pretty hilarious scene.
he's a great guy. He
He is.
really is.
Well, that's part two though. And the two guys in the background are in the background of almost every scene because I love those two to death. I actually have a scene with those two. You'll have to see Bear City 2.
I'd have
I,
to.
you have to see. There's a scene where the two guys are in the background when you cut back and forth in both backgrounds, like they jump from one to the other. But it's their backs and their fronts, and their backs and their fronts. You never really notice, but I know.
Fantastic. All right, ready? Next picture.
Oh, Lord.
What's happening?
Oh, you son of a bitch. Hodor! 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 That's what was happening. That's all I did the entire weekend. We go, Hodor! It was me dressed as Hodor for Spooky Bear and Beatdown.
Oh my God. It's velvet, Doug.
Was it great? It was that great. I ended up putting that on Christian Narn's the guy who actually plays Hodor on his Facebook, and he put it on his little fan page, and I was like, oh my God, hilarious.
Speaking of that naked scene with him.
Yes, I know. That's not me. That is fictitious. That is not. I'm not packing that much heat. That's a lot of heat.
It remains to be seen. And then our last picture.
We'll have to do a three-way.
I have that. I have that on video as proof.
Okay.
I have that on video.
What is this? Oh my Lord, Stephen, what is she doing? She's trying out for Star Wars 5 as the young Princess Leia who needed a nose job. Princess Leia before the nose job.
There's Princess Leia before the nose job. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Him. He rocks a low cut very well. And the cinnabons are quite fetching.
I have no idea where you got that.
The magic of Google.
That must be from the new show. I don't know. I've never seen that before.
All right. So, what do people have? What's to look forward for?
We have our Black Friday sale. Our Cyber Week sale all next week. BearCity2.com. Everything's like 25% off. So.
Let's say that again. BearCity2.com.
Yep. We're gonna have our Cyber Week sale starting a little later tonight. And it'll be going on all week for everything in the store, including Larry's book. Because if you guys know Larry, he ended up doing a book version of the first movie while I was doing the second movie. So that's something to check out as well. And but it's all there, and it'd be a good gift. So that's going on. And then right in Bear City 3, we're going to be shooting in the spring.
Anything that you want to tease us about aside from having a threesome with me?
Well, you can check out the interview. I did a big interview at Bear World magazine that you can check out that I did with Shane Harris for the details. But it's going to take place at the Woods Campground. I know that, and you know how much fun that's going to be. And
I don't know about you.
Well, Frank knows how good Hillside was, so you can just imagine.
But it's closer, which is nice.
And yes, it's going to be a lot of fun. The gang's all back, and there's going to be some up moments, some sad moments, some happy moments, but it'll be the final of the trilogy. And
final one.
Final one of the trilogy. And it should be a blast.
Excited.
Yeah, so we're going to shoot
the prequels, right?
What?
Can you start on the prequels?
The prequels.
Yes. There you go,
The
Frank. That's exactly right. I can do that. The young versions. That's what we need. Little Michael's running around.
How the bear fetish started for these characters.
Actually. Well, the girth and mirth. We can do that whole thing. Frank, remember that whole scene?
Sadly, yes.
That was all there was. There was no bears back then. We had to make that shit up as we went along. We had to make it up as we went along.
Big old sweaty guys.
Big old and big belly contests. That was about it.
You get up under your sweaty rolls.
I loved it. Loved it.
Well, I guess that's all I have for Mr. Doug.
Thank you, guys.
Do a threesome. Who are we doing a threesome with?
You and Frank.
Oh, all right.
That's never going to happen. Frank will never let me. I've been trying to sleep with Frank for 20 years. It's never going to happen.
I don't know. You may have an in.
Well, I really appreciate you having me, and I appreciate Craig Selleck for asking me to do this, and everybody else in the team. Larry wishes he was here. We had a conflict.
No, he missed out.
He totally did, and he was really sad about it. So I told him I said hi.
He'll get over it.
You know he loves his Asians.
We'll publish a link on this on the Facebook, and then you can send me any promotional, like the website. I'll post it on the group,
Oh, perfect. Thank you.
and then whatever you need to promote, we're part of your community.
Oh, thank you.
And Bears will support you.
Yay. Love it. Cute. Cute.
And that's it. Thanks again, Doug.
Thank
Good
you.
review. And good luck with Bear City 3.
Thank you.
All right. See you in the group. Oh, Lord.